Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is 9th November 2020. Coming up the Crusty Canuck podcast. More American election insanity, another irresponsible gun crime in TO, and more of this beer bug insanity. All that and more coming up. Stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally welcome.
This is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on politics, social, economic issues, and life. Here's Crusty.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, here I am, Crusty Canuck, and, well, a little concerned with the way the American election went. As I mentioned in the opening, yeah, it seems kind of shady. Now, as a Canadian weighing in, we have the luxury of living in the Great North and looking down, and then, not literally looking down, but looking at and observing how the American system is going. Now, we had the same issue back in 2000 when you had George W. Bush, George Jr. versus Al Gore, in regards to what was going on with ballots and counting and conspiracies and fraudulent behavior, yada, yada, yada. So here's my summary on that. I feel something is something really shady going on. Now, I'm not going to sit and tell my American listeners and the American people what to do. It's not my thing. However, we have to keep our leaders on their fucking toes. So my American listeners out there, yes, ask the tough questions. Let's bring justice to this system. The American democracy experiment, I think, was probably one of the better experiments on planet Earth. Now, I'm not saying that because I have a lot of American friends I hold dear to my heart and that I love dearly. But when you actually look at the historical impact the American democracy has had on the world, good and bad, of course, too, yes. It makes you think, it makes you admire it. I hate using the word envy, but it's very, very admirable. You think you have two parties, one person and a VP, and another person and a VP vying for the office to hold for anywhere from 4 to 8 years. But this last election just seemed very, very effing shady. Shady to a point where, okay, there have been allegations of ballots coming in from people that have been dead for the better part of 20, 25, 30 years. Mysterious ballots missing, and then all of a sudden showing up again at 3 a.m. And I'll leave links to my description here just to do it. But I've got a lot of this information from the likes of Rebel Media, Canadian Poly, other independent outlets there, Spencer Fernando, TNC, some of my American conglomerates, Tim Poole, Fred Stockman, and just collaborating notes, basically what we assess without the mainstream media getting involved. And it's amazing how the media takes it upon itself to declare a winner, and yet it's not the media's place to do that. I'm not exactly familiar with the American system as I should be, but in the same sense, I'm pretty sure it takes someone with legal representation, i.e. a judge, to declare a winner. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can stand corrected. But when I look at this whole political spectrum, especially when you look back at the way Donald Trump was treated, whether you love or hate the guy, he did his job as far as I'm concerned. All the speculation, racism and sexism, yeah, the guy was a bit of a man whore. Name me a business mogul that wasn't. Name me a popular politician that wasn't. John F. Kennedy, for example, was he not a philanderer in his own right? Right? Did he not come from a family of well-to-do individuals that made a fortune on liquor and screwing everything they got their hands on? Right? But, as far as I'm concerned, Kennedy was a genius in his own way. Right? Our beloved ex-prime minister, whatever you want to call him pet, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, he was quite the philanderer too. He was quite the misogynist in his own right. Right? But, a lot of people won't see him that way. They see him as a genius, So the better part of 4 years, the media has done nothing but give Trump a hard time. And now, all of a sudden, this election took about 3 or 4 days to process, and magically, Mr. Biden is the winner. Ms. Kamala Harris wearing white because she was a suffragette, and yet she had a very, very good life all on her own. So, no, she was not a suffragette. So let's pick apart the disingenuine tactics that both parties have done. Okay? In the first 2 years of Mr. Trump's presidency, they did nothing but ride his ass about Russian collusion. Collusion with this, collusion with that. Oh, the conspiracy, the conspiracy, the conspiracy. And yet, look what he did in the Middle East. Look how much peace he brought in the Middle East. Right? Look how much the economy did very well under Donald Trump. Now, personally, I think he was a bit of a goof. Some of the tweets he'd say, some of his presentations, some of his speeches. But from what I hear from my American fans and friends alike, he did some pretty good things when it come to getting the job done. And he'd fire back with his bullshit just the same as people would fire him with their bullshit. So, puts things in perspective now, doesn't it? Right? As a Canadian, of course, our Prime Minister is all hot and bothered that Joe Biden's going to come in and do all these wonderful things and cancel Keystone Pipeline and try to wreak more havoc on our resources like every other Democratic American president has done, all the way from Bill Clinton, right? Get their hands in Canadian resources, the Tides Foundation, the Make Way Foundation, not to mention other American environmental conglomerates that want to have their hands in Canadian resources, right? So they can control the market. But I'll leave that for another story there, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, carrying on with the American fiasco. My American listeners out there, tell me what you think. In fact, anyway, tell me what you think. CrustyBCanuck67@gmail.com. Or you can find me on Twitter. You can also find me at Facebook on my page there. Drop a comment or two. Send me an email, CrustyBCanuck67@gmail.com. You can find me on YouTube. Leave a comment. And in Podbean. You can find me on Wimkin, Canund.com, Canund Video, Parlay. I'll leave all links and connections there in the description. But tell me how you feel. I'd like to get an American perspective a few more times on this too. I've talked with my wife. I've talked with my friends and family members. I just had a conversation with my father today about it. And I think he made a faux pas. He told me how much he admired Chrysler Freeland. And I went, Dad, what the hell are you talking about? Dad, I love you, but come on now. And don't make me, pimp slap you. As much as I love you, Dad. But anyhow, it was a good little laugh anyway. But needless to say, he's entitled to his opinion. So am I. So are you. So is every other listener out there. And with all the speculation, I'm not going to sit and dwell in conspiracy after conspiracy after conspiracy. But I know in my heart there is something that is not right about these decisions. Okay? So let's wait it out for a bit. Let's give it another month and see what happens, right? See what judicial power can look after this and look out for this and sort out what's really going on. Because there has been speculation on ballots appearing and reappearing, appearing and disappearing. Dead people apparently have voted. Interesting. That's beautiful. That goes up there with the old beer bug being racialized, Wow. Holy shit. I don't know what to say, folks, especially my American listeners and my European listeners. It is quite the conglomerate of tomfoolery. Right? Just a joke left and right, And what gets me with this new fandangle, new so-called president-elect, of course, the virtue signaling is going, Kamala Harris, yeah, okay, great, she's educated, she worked her ass off to be today, and good for her. But in the same sense, put the race card away, right? I personally don't think that you have suffered immensely as a blue-collar lady. You've come from a decent upbringing. You've had opportunities that have surpassed most ladies that I know personally. And it doesn't matter if they're black or white or pink or purple, how they identify. I think opportunities have been laid at your feet. So when you sit there on your stage in white and talking about suffragettes, you're talking about stuff that happened about 150 years ago, 120 years ago, 110, 100 years ago. Didn't women in North America, especially in Canada, get the right to vote in 1919, 1920? Right? And you're still harping? Come on. I've worked personally for some great women in the military. I've worked with some great women in the military. So don't hand me this crap about suffragettes and, oh, help me, I'm oppressed. No, you're just as responsible for your life as any man. And the opportunities are there for you because of other men, right? There are men that passed laws back in the 1960s that forbid women getting paid less. There are men who have put legislation in the 60s and 70s respectively that have forbid any kind of unpayment for work done. Now, there was sexism, there was misogyny, yes, I get it, but there's also misandry too. There's also quite a bit of misandry going on around today. So just check out Janice Villamengo and you'll see what I'm talking about. A brilliant scholar, brilliant English teacher, one hell of a round individual. And I've listened to her interviews and her work immensely with great respect and regard. And she pinpoints some of the misandric goings on in our institutions and government offices today. So if you get a chance, check her. I'll leave a link to her work too. But check that out. But carrying on, there was a recent shooting in Toronto. A 12-year-old child was hit and killed, as far as I know. I'll read the article again, but just make sure. But there was an injury. And of course, all these politicians, again, are weighing in on the whole, oh my God, we have to get rid of guns. We have to stop guns. And again, they fail to realize that it's organized effing crime that is making these guns possible. Now, to my gun owner friends out there, and I'm a gun owner too, okay? I've trained soldiers on the aspects of marksmanship principles. I've trained soldiers on how to hold a pistol properly and safety galore. And when I hear these so-called experts weigh in on gun safety and violence in this country, they still don't have an effing clue. Okay? This little boy or this little girl was hurt, killed as far as I know. And still, John Tory, Mr. Mayor of Toronto, and of course, Catherine McKenna, we can't have a good tweet session without Miss, Climate Barbie the Builder, or whatever you want to call her now, discussing certain aspects and infrastructure. And I'll get to her in a minute there. I saw something on the news this morning. It just made me want to puke. Anyhow, still weighing in on the whole gun odd thing and what's going on with guns in this country. And yet they've never been the problem. It's the criminals that have made it a problem. It's the access to black market wares that have been a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Right? There are a lot of people in my life, in my circle, that disagree with me owning a gun. But they're not against me. They're not going to take it away from me. Okay? Now, I've hunted. I went out and I've shot at animals, got some meat. I missed the hunting window this year due to financial restrictions. But needless to say, I'm an advocate for sportsmanship. I'm an advocate for hunting. I'm an advocate for sports shooting. And I'm an advocate for self-defense. And we all know it's a crime in this country to defend yourself. But needless to say, I'm still an advocate for it. So when these so-called experts and educated officials weigh in on the odds and tell us that, we're criminals, it's dumbfounded and it's got nothing to stand on other than speculation and telling people what to do with their lives again. So if John Tory had any guts or any chutzpah, he'd get off his ass and look into the organized crime rather than just blaming guns, right? How many DUIs happened in the city of Toronto in a 3-month window? Are you blaming the car? Are you going to blame a DUI? Are you going to blame a DUI on the beer? You going to blame the vehicle the individual is driving? Or you can blame the person that took the drink and took a drive? Of course, you're going to blame the person that did the deed, right? So, if there's a whole bunch of DUIs going on, then maybe it's people not taking responsibility for their shit. Would you not think that? No, but let's blame the gun because we want to hop on the coattails of this so-called virtue rather than taking real responsibility and stepping up against real crime. Right? Well, what do I know? Anyway, here's a word from my sponsors.
This is Brian Boucher, the new CEO of Canuck Gold Corp. We have gold at 99% purity with discounts ranging from $100 up to $200 off the ounce. This is the right place to buy, from 2-gram cards to 400-ounce bricks. We have any quantity of gold you are looking for. We also sell by the ton, not like your ex-wife. Visit us today at canudgold.com, CANUND gold.com.
Of 2015, Lindsay Robbins, like many of her fellow Canadians, was struggling with the turmoil of mental illness. The ups and downs of what she was going through was shaping her realities, and she longed for structure. As luck would have it, that structure presented itself to her in the form of gardening. And through gardening, Lindsay had an awakening that led her to create Produce for Heroes. Lindsay realized that our veterans were going through their own mental struggles, and through her own experience, she realized the power of community. By desiring to help the way that she had been helped, she has created a program that provides relief to veterans. Her food program, which aims to provide veterans and their families relief from the stresses of food insecurity and help alleviate the cost of living for those that have sacrificed so much for their country. Whether it's through directly contacting Producer Heroes or through a friend's referral, all veterans and their families living in Canada are welcome. By shining a light on the struggle of veterans and their families, Lindsay is hoping to get her fellow Canadians to hop on board and support Produce for Heroes and our great veterans. If you or a veteran you know needs help, ProduceForHeroes.com is a great place to start.
Yes, you can contact Scott and Brian at Canuck Gold and Lindsay Robbins at Produce for Heroes. I'll leave links in the description under my sponsorship heading. So carrying on with more of the gun dilemmas too. Yes, Toronto's always had a problem with guns. Ever since the OIC came around May 1st, because Mr. Bill Blair, Mr. Overweight Know-It-All, and Mrs. Pint-Size You-Know-What, Miss Freeland, and her weighing in on military fetishisms, and of course Justin Trudeau and his sock puppet mentality, weighing in saying that, oh, guns have no place in Canada unless you're being guarded or harassed, and it's a different story. You know, what's good for me is not good for thee, of course, that old adage, right? Do as I say, not as I do. So here's a suggestion. How about have your personnel, police officers, detectives, and special units alike, stake out these known individuals or known conglomerates that bring in black market firearms. Okay? Gun owners are not the problem. We know this. And I get so sick and tired of talking about this, as much as I get tired of talking about Trudeau and his tomfoolery. It's getting ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Nowhere have I ever seen anyone tell you you have to have a gun in this country. But I've seen more and more people jump on the bandwagon of, oh my God, guns are bad, guns are terrible, they kill people. Well, you forget that it's people killing people. It's not the gun. It's not the bullets. It's not the ammunition. It's not the mix. It's not the powders, right? It's people. Okay? And if someone has intent on harming you or has intent on, heaven forbid, killing you, they will find a way to do it. They don't need a gun to do it. They can do it with a hammer. They can do it with a pencil, a rock, a sharp pointed stick, right? And people forget, too, the amount of crimes that you can find out online in regards to gun violence in this country. And it has gone up in every major city, especially Toronto or the greater Toronto area. And people don't put that into factor. Why not? Oh, that's right, because I'm a gun owner. I'm a criminal. I must be a thug. I must be a warmonger. Wrong. No, I'm a responsible gun owner. My guns are locked up, right? And because of the OIC decision, there was a lot of kerfuffles going on and what ranges we can go to and everything, right? I still don't have any information on the ranges I can go to at the moment. I suppose a little more research, dedication, but I haven't received any emails from my gun clubs lately. So it's safe to assume that something's not working really right. Because people are feared. People are scared, right? Enough of the fear, right? I'll leave a link to a video that I come across on Facebook today, too, in regards to the hugs over masks. And they're a great bunch of people. I've actually had the opportunity of talking to a couple of them. And just common sense Canadians get out there preaching freedom, as we should. Now, my wife and I, we've debated about this. And I've said over numerous times in the show here, I'll keep a mask with me just in case, because I really don't want the BS when I go shopping. I want to mind my own business, get what I got to get, and then carry on, right? But in the same sense, too, you're having a lot of these people who are fearing and getting mad and scared and pointing fingers and all the Carls and Karens out there. Like I said in my last episode, just imagine Donald Sutherland's character from Invasion of the Body Snatchers pointing a finger and screaming from here to the heavens. Right? But a lot of us are getting sick of it. A lot of us are getting sick of the lockdowns. A lot of us are getting sick of being told one thing or the other. Right? Even Dr. Tam in Infinite Wisdom said, oh, the standard masks we have now aren't good enough. We have to get 3 layered masks now. So we have to buy this or create this, or what do we have to do? And of course, there's no noble suggestion to prove otherwise. Just let's go along with it and drag our knuckles and go, okay, you guys are right, we're wrong. No. Sorry, I'm going to question it. And I expect you, my listeners, to question it too. Tell me what you think. CrustyBCanuck67@gmail.com. Or find me in Canund.com. Find me in Wimkin. Find me on Parlay. You can find me on the YouTube and Facebook, respectively. Right? I even closed my writing address too in my description. So if you want to write me a letter, send me a card, send me some swagger, send me some free stuff, cash, check. No, don't send cash, but do what you can. I appreciate a good piece of mail that says something different than either government of this or government of that. So please consider that too. And if you feel like donating, please donate. You can now join my page on YouTube for $1.99 a month. That's just under $2, folks. Every time I do a live stream, I can look at your name, give you praise and applause. Literally, let's say if I had someone called Bloggins sign into my page and give me $2 a month, I would give them applause like that. Thank you, Mr. Bloggins. Thank you very much. Accolades where they belong. Plus, I have other tiers you can choose from too. I'm still working on that hockey jersey. But don't give up hope just yet, ladies and gentlemen. There will be a Crusty Canuckers hockey jersey for sale coming at you soon. And sometime after Christmas, like I mentioned in my last live stream, I'm going to be working on some comedy. So I'm going to be making probably another channel. I'll call it the Crusty Comedic. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, if you do feel like donating, please consider donating. Anything helps. Like I said, I'm in between jobs right now, and I would look forward, I would like to actually hire somebody to give me a hand making this podcast and making a video series and to make it better than what it is right now. So please, if you want to donate, consider donating. Anything will do. If you want to join for $5 a month, you get yourself a free t-shirt too. So keep that in mind as well. And I do have a new store up and running, customizedgirl.com. They've actually given me a better deal than some of the other people I have chatted to. So check that out too. I got a whole bunch of new Crusty Canuck swagger there as well. So carrying on. Yes, more gun dilemmas and stuff too. Political dilemmas, gun dilemmas, and of course what I saw in the news today in regards to investing another $1.5 billion or $1 billion plus. I forget the exact number here. I'll leave links in the description. But the federal government wants to make sure everyone's online and has high-speed internet. Well, that's great. Isn't that just fantastic? Right? One would speculate that it might be a control issue again. Who knows what to believe anymore what the Liberal government says? I don't. I don't believe half the garbage, or even 2/3 of the garbage they say, right? Regardless of what they're going to invest in or not, because they haven't invested in the infrastructure, as they said they have, because there's billions missing there. They haven't invested properly in clean water, because we're finding more and more tales of reservations that have been without clean water for a period of decades now, not just a few years. And now they want to talk about infrastructure when it comes to building this great big internet network or making sure that a lot of people have access to the internet. Okay, that's fine. I get it. But does it really have to cost $1.5 billion or $1 billion or more? Like, honestly, how many more tax dollars got to be wasted in the name of so-called progress when it's more of a regression, if anything? Okay. It's kind of hard to figure out now, especially with going down south of us and then here with all the Liberal backers, creaming their jeans, getting all hot and bothered. What's going to be in store for us, right? What's going to be in store for us when it comes down to, what kind of technology is going to save us, according to these experts, right? He goes up there with them putting solar panels and none of it. Like, they get sunshine, 5 months of the year? And solar panels are going to help? Really? Well, you're in a desert, so here's some more sand for you. Oh, you're up way north. Well, here's some more snow for you. That'll help. Yeah, okay. Do-do-do. I don't know what to say, folks, other than it's a shit show. And you've heard me say that enough times too, right? But like I say, I'll leave links in the description if you decide to. There was a confrontation there, as I mentioned earlier. Hugs over masks. There was some entitled snot kid getting in someone's face about the mask issue and the 6-foot distance issue and everything. And this individual took it himself, put his arm up just to protect himself, as any sane Canadian would. And here's this kid spazzing out, "No, don't you touch me, don't you touch me." And I'm just like, if I was there, I would have gladly picked up a shovel and just start swinging. You get that urge. There's just some kids that just annoy you so much, and some people that just annoy you so much, you just want to do that notional pause and cuff. You know what I mean? Or you just sit and look at the person, and there's a pause, and you reach out and go, cuff upside the head. I think we all received that one way or the other from our fathers at the dinner table. You get that look, and you just kind of, oh shit, here it comes. Well, bang, done, problem solved, right? But it's never that easy because that kid probably go crying to the cops. Oh, this man hit me. You know, 21 years old, entitled. He's always right and everyone else is always wrong because he had himself an education. Or as you said, I am very well educated, quote unquote. And I'll leave the video for you to decide, but holy shit over. Pot, this is kettle over, right? Now, I don't care who wears masks. I don't. But I'm getting sick and tired of it being mandatory because local government says so. I'm getting sick and tired of businesses being shut down or being compromised because local government says so. Okay? How much more big government do we need to govern our lives, ladies and gentlemen? How much more regulations do we have to live with? Right? How much more? And for what? What's it going to prove? Right? What's it going to prove? What is it going to prove? Nothing, except more control. Right? Like they're already talking about universal basic income. Oh, great, more handouts, more tax brackets, right? So the people that are working full-time getting ahead, another 10%, another 5% taken off their paychecks. Now, I'm not trying to disenfranchise people that need assistance. I have some very good friends in my life that rely on certain assistance. One of them is confined to a wheelchair. Right? He's had issues all of his natural life. So, of course, he needs assistance. I have friends of mine that I serve with who get assistance. I technically get assistance. I get a pension every month. But we've all learned that. Right? It wasn't just going to a welfare office and signing a dotted line and saying I'm trying to find a job. No, I earned a pension because I did 20 years of service. Right? But in the same sense, too, why should I work and pay that much taxes? And I do pay a lot of tax on my pension, ladies and gentlemen. I do. I cringe every time I open up my little receipt and I see how much I paid in taxes per month for my pension. Not to mention what taxes I had to pay when I was working too. So we're all paying our fair share when it comes to it. To humor the so-called people that don't think that we're paying our fair share. All the NDPers out there, all the communists in training, all the socialists who think democratic socialism is a wonderful thing. No, it's not, because 60% of their pay goes to support democratic socialism. Which brings me down to another point, too, where AOC, to my American listeners, we all know who AOC is. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, whatever her name is. Anyhow, and her great ideas. And I was actually looking at the article briefly this morning where she actually claimed that she'd like a list of people that assisted the Trump campaign. Wow. So here's somebody that's all for freedom and equality and democracy, and yet she wants to see a list of who assisted the Donald Trump campaign. Yeah, jawohl. I want to see a list of all the people that have collaborated and drawn guilty by association. Yeah, that's what I basically get out of it. Right? That's what I basically get out of that fucking kind of dog's breakfast that AOC is promoting. Right? To my American listeners, God, I wish I was down there with you fighting the good fight. Just the foolery. We can't let people be democratic. We can't let people just do their own thing. Can't let people just, we have to contain and control all the time, because whether you believe in the globalist agenda or not, or you believe in the totalitarian regime that Red China likes to promote, it's turning into a fucking fiasco. But all the more reasons for us to stand our ground and ask the tough questions and put these individuals on the spot. Keep the dialogue going. Keep conversation going. And as a last resort, use violence. As a last resort, I quote, as a last resort, use violence. But now it's, who knows what's going to happen. There are lots of people who try to promote dialogue and they get censored. Or people that try to promote papers and articles and they get censored or blacked out. Or they get blackballed, or they get chastised, or they get treated like absolute garbage because cancel culture is the new black, or the new white, or the new pink, or whatever trend it is now. It's abhorrent, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, tell me what you think. CrustyBCanuck67 at gmail.com. Find me on Canon.com. You can find me Wimkin, Parlay on Twitter, Facebook. Like I said, I enclosed my mailing address too. So if you want to send me a card or a letter or some swagger or some free stuff, by all means. Cash and checks accepted, of course, too. And if you do feel like donating, just follow the links on my subscribe and donate column there on my description. If you want, or just join the page for $1.99 a month. You get a shout out every time I do a live stream and accolades accordingly. So, I don't know what else to say, ladies and gentlemen. Stand our ground. My American listeners, please send me an email. Tell me what you guys think. Give me your opinion. Give me your thoughts. Let's see what's going on. We can try to figure something out, get more dialogue going. The past 7 months, I have really lost a lot of faith in the mainstream media, especially when it comes to telling us the truth. We're all told when we were younger, too, don't always believe what you hear or always believe what you read. Now it's at a point where it's getting difficult, extremely difficult to watch the news or watch anything and believe what anyone says. Because so many people have been caught lying. So many people have caught bullshitting us. And for what? Right? The greater good? Save their own jobs? Well, of course, You and I both know that in all as politicians, there's no such thing. It's like saying a hooker's a virgin. Like, it's just not going to happen. Right? But I do remember a time when we had politicians that actually gave a shit about what they were doing. And they didn't just give us lip service. They gave us passion. They gave us dedication. They gave us nationalism. And I'm not talking nationalism in the historical sense. I'm talking pride in your country, pride in your family and your friends and what this nation can do. Pride in your neighbors, pride in your allies, pride in loving and living in a democracy, without worrying about any kind of global conglomerate or any kind of herd mentality or fucking cancel culture for that matter. Right? We have to get back to that again. We have to get back to waving our flag and not be ashamed of it and learning to say that I'm not sorry. Canadians are polite. We are courteous. We are kind. I know there's a lot of us out there that are pissed and we're livid because we want to go to work. We want our energy sector back. We want to bring our resources to market. We want a free market. And don't give me this reinvention of capitalism. All these Schwab aficionados and all these Trudeau's and Pope-like figures that say, oh, we have to reset capitalism. We have to reinvent capitalism. No, we don't, because it wasn't broken to begin with. Yes, you're going to have people that might make some more money. Well, whoop-de-doo, maybe because they made different decisions. And I personally don't care how many billionaires we have in this country. I just know that every time someone says, oh, this person has to pay their fair share and this person has to pay their fair share, it always comes down to the middle class getting it up the chuff. So let's start worrying about the priorities in this country, i.e. getting people back to work. Stop worrying about how many guns people have and start worrying about the people that actually committed the crimes and persecute and prosecute those individuals respectively. Right? There's an idea about being an adult again. But what do I know? I'm just some crusty Canuck. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 9th of November, 2020. I have been Crusty Canuck. On this beautiful pseudo-fall winter day, I just spent the better part of a half hour shoveling more damn snow. Well, I need the exercise, but still. No biggie. It's what you do to stay comfortable, what you do to stay awake and stay alert. A little bit of exercise doesn't hurt. But as I always say, ladies and gentlemen, look after your friends and your loved ones, and please consider donating if you can. Join the page. There's 4 tiers to choose from. For $2 a month, you'll get my content, you get my accolades, access to my live streams, and proper acknowledgement every time you give. So if I had half my subscribers on YouTube give me $2 a month, wow, I'd be well on my way to creating a beautiful podcast and having an employee or two to make the podcast and video series even better. So please consider that right now. Like I've always said, look after your friends and loved ones, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.
Slap me around and call me Susan. I warned you, Susan.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. There is no racial bigotry here.